Welcome to the Truth for Your 20s podcast. My name is Katie. I'm a proud girl mom. I've been married 20 years and counting. I'm a keynote speaker to sororities nationwide and a passion to be who I needed when I was younger.
And I'm Shayna Webb, proud big sister of 5 girls, Chattanooga content creator, high school coach, and your resident 20-something co-host who definitely doesn't have it all figured out yet, but loves talking about it anyway.
And together, we are here to bring a little truth, encouragement, real stories, and laughter to your 20s.
Woo! It's the Truth for Your 20s podcast, and we're so back.
We're so back.
We say we're so back. We've been here every single Tuesday. And I mean, we just started this podcast, we revitalized it. Obviously, I know you've been doing it for years, but we just started it back in October, and we have done every single Tuesday.
I mean, we're slaying this.
And it's crazy, I think, guys, because we're both so busy.
You know,
we both work
flying 100 miles an hour.
So many different jobs, and there's so many things that we both put on the back burner, but we have stayed so consistent with this podcast. A new episode has come out every single Tuesday. We're 1 week ahead. We're recording this 2 weeks before it comes out. And it just feels really good to at least be ahead on one area of my life, because everywhere else in my life, I am so behind.
Well, it's really good doing this with you and having that accountability and the partnership, the shared vision. I feel like we work well together, just personality wise. Yeah. So it's been good, but no, I agree. I think
because I want to be you when I grow up.
Well, the feeling's mutual, but yeah, we're both always flying in here, one car leg or whatever. So, but it's fun, and I'm glad that we prioritize it and we're doing the dang thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I just feel like I am always just flying around. I mean, guys, I think I talked about it last week, but we're moving, and it has been, when you move, I'm wearing the same clothes for I have 3 outfits, and I'm just rotating them, and all my shoes are in a box. So I'm wearing navy tennis shoes with a black tank top right now. So good thing the podcast doesn't show my whole outfit, because
moving is no joke. And I told you this, but in case someone out there is moving, give grace to yourself. I was reading that moving to another city, so moving in the same city isn't quite as traumatic because your friend group stays the same and stuff, but it's close. Anyways, moving to another city is the stress equivalent of going to war.
That is crazy. Luckily, I am not in war because we're moving locally, but it still feels like we're kind of in war.
It's just getting everything from one closet to another, getting, all the things. It's a lot.
Yeah. And when you're moving locally, it's like you feel like you can take a bunch of different trips. So we didn't do it all in one. And so we've just gone back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. My dog, though, I think feels like he's in war because he has run away about 6 or 8 times. He slipped out of his leash. He's pulled so hard, or he'll sprint out the door before we've closed it all the way. It's crazy. He's
confused.
I know. He's so cute, though. Anyway, so yeah, we're still mid-move. I also am almost, I think, at a month of being at my new job where I work at my church. And so that's been good, but still a little learning curve. I think I'm really into it. And then our lacrosse season starts this Saturday, so it's been ramped up. So it just always feels like flying around everywhere. WebJets has been good too. I feel better because I've only been posting once every 3 days or once every other day rather than I used to post every single day last year. But I physically, with moving, lacrosse, my new job, all that stuff, it's been a lot. But the point is, we've been at this podcast every Tuesday, and it's been great, and I'm proud of us.
We're doing it. We're doing the dang thing, which is a podcast episode title.
Yeah, exactly. That was a good one,
too, if you haven't. Yeah, so we just thought we'd do the topic we're going to talk about today. We are excited about having high standards versus being realistic, but we thought we could kind of unpack this pretty quickly. So we're going to do just a little chit chat first, because it's fun. There's several podcasts I listen to where you just kind of get to know your host, and hopefully that's interesting to you guys.
But always leave feedback, please, because it's also I don't care about these people's lives. I just want to hear the meat of the episode. Then you can also scroll ahead.
Yeah.
Or put us on 4 times speed or whatever.
Or maybe you care. Either way, we're just changing things up, see what you guys like. But yeah, so about what's going on with us. So I shared, I think for the first time last time, my actual job, which is funny. I was talking to a girl that I'm friends with. I've been friends with her for years, and she also didn't know I have a full-time job, but it is my busy season. So I do promotional items mostly for colleges, and this is getting close to budget year end. So I'm doing spreadsheet after spreadsheet after spreadsheet, which is great. It's just a very busy season, and kids stuff and all the things. I feel like I'm kind of spinning too. But super fun. I do a workout class, and it is we've had so many new people, and it's just so fun. It's on Thursdays. We're recording on a Thursday. And so I get to go to that tonight, and I just think it's the most fun class. The energy of all the new people, we're just having a blast. So I'm excited about that tonight too.
Yeah, that is awesome. Because like I just said, we've just been sprinting around everywhere. It's just been crazy. Got lacrosse every single weekend now in March and April, and a couple weddings sprinkled in there too. And just trying to keep afloat. It feels like treading water constantly a lot as far as the jobs go. But I love coming in here and just closing the other tabs and being all in. Our theme for lacrosse this year is be where your feet are. And I think that is very applicable to anything in your life. Like while we're here at the podcast, I want to be here and I don't want to be worrying about all of the other things on my to-do list. Or while I'm at my church job, I'm there at the church job. I'm not worrying about web chat stuff. I'm not worrying about lacrosse. I'm not worrying about the podcast. Like I like getting to focus on where my feet are in the moment. It's been really helpful to not, especially with all the moving stress too, but where my feet are, which has been really good. So
did you watch the Olympics?
I didn't at all. I don't think we've watched anything in a hot second, although we did watch the 21 Pilots live concert. They came out with this IMAX experience. It was so awesome. We're big 21 Pilots fans, but that's the only thing we've watched recently.
I didn't know about you. 21 Pilots. That's interesting.
Yes. We've gone to like one concert a year for them for the past couple of years. It's been great.
I just got Freya Sky tickets, so I'm curious if anyone on the other end of the earbuds is a Freya Sky fan. My daughters are big fans, so we just got those. But I had to like do the whole waiting room queue and countdown. So anyway, that was fun. But we did watch the Olympics. My daughter is a huge Iliad.
Is he the guy who fell?
Yes, but also the guy who can amazingly do a quad axel. So we were huge fans of that. And I just got inspired by, of course, the Olympics is just so inspiring and the best of their game. But there's another skater who almost accidentally won a gold. She went in there, everyone you interviewed was like, the gold and the pressure and winning. And she was like, I'm just here to skate. I'm just here to have fun. And then
I did see that on the only Olympics I watched was all on social media. Yes. So I did see her. That was cool.
I thought that was so inspiring and how she was just out there to do what she loved.
Was where her feet were. Be where your feet are. She wasn't worrying about what other people thought or the medals or the scores.
Yes. I was like,
doing it for the love of the game.
Girl, with your quirky hair, you just changed people's lives with that little statement. I loved it. So
that's awesome.
Yes. Anyways, so we want to do a little just to chit chat and get to know us. I think it's fun to kind of, peel back the curtain, if you will, and just talk about all the things. But the meat and potatoes, if you will, of this episode is having high standards versus being realistic. And I know you've probably had this conversation. I've definitely heard this conversation a lot. Like I said, last week, I got the opportunity to do a Bible study with a sorority, and this definitely came up. And it's just, I think there's no, again, with so many of these topics, there's not like a, B, and C, black and white, because we're talking about life and the complications of relationships. And if it was figure outable, we would have had it done by now. But it's not. But it's definitely worth talking about. And we do have some research. We do have a little bit of feedback on this and hopefully just kind of give some clarity to this conversation.
Yeah. I just think girls were often told two opposite things, which is don't settle, but also be realistic. And so it just begs the question, what does realistic even mean? Or who defines what high standards are? Or when do you lower your standards because you can't find anybody who's fitting your standards? When does being realistic make you nervous? All these different things. I've heard it from a bunch of my friends who in their 20s who, are looking around them and everyone's getting married or everyone's dating and they can't find anybody and they feel like they've tried all the dating apps and they've tried going out and meeting people and they're like, do I move cities to find new people because nobody here works? I don't know. It's just definitely a conversation that I've been talking to a lot of friends about. So you guys are our friends too. So we're just going to talk about it here.
Amen. So I'm reading, I think I'd share with you guys the Let Them Theory book, and she had a name for something I thought was so important. And we have talked about this on the podcast before, but the great scattering. And so this is so true, as we talked about with a friend episode and dating as well. When you are in grade school, or it doesn't matter, even if you're homeschooled, you are just naturally around so many people your age. Is it okay? Okay. Your age, you're kind of in so many things that are normal to you. Like you're both graduating at the same time. You're all going to honors at the same time. You all have the same vacations. Like so many things are just normal and built in and no one tells you. And then even college, like a sorority, all of these things are just normal, built in friend groups, association cohorts, if you will. And then it is such a great scattering when you graduate, and then that doesn't happen anymore. And then it happens again when a lot of friends get married, they might move off, get a new job. Then later in life, some people, like if their kids grow up, they move, Empty nesters, there's so many different stages and they continue to scatter. First of all, no one's talking about it. So just knowing that that is a thing and you're not alone and you're not wrong, that if you feel lonely, like this is all just part of life and no one talks about it, that, you know, you had this natural friend group, this natural thing, and it's different now. So it's kind of up to you. So that's the first thing. But when these two things happen, the great scattering, it's important to know, like I said, like it's up to you, but getting out there, putting yourself out there, doing the work. And this is so hard for my introvert friends, but you just have to be able to, you know, make the events. And if not happening, invite people, have the play. And even if it's girls, that's okay because, hey, girls have cute brothers. Girls have cute coworkers. You never know. And so not necessarily like, but if you are wanting to find your person, this is going to take some intentionality and going to take, like, as they say, putting yourself out there and putting yourself around people that you would be interested in dating. And so sometimes that just takes work and intentionality and going to the things and signing up for the classes and whatever that looks like.
Working the summer camps.
Where
I found Cameron and where my sister found her husband and where one of my good friends found her husband was at summer camp.
Hey, my daughter's going to be a camp counselor.
Yeah, exactly. You find people there because you don't have your phones to distract you.
Whoa, there's a whole podcast episode on that, I bet.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. So basically just want to like let you know there's normalcy to this whole great scattering and how to be intentional with all this stuff. But I think we just kind of maybe just unpack both sides of this because it is an argument, if you will, but it also goes together of having high standards. It's important. Being realistic, it's important. And they're both true at the same time. So yeah. I guess let's first just unpack having high standards. Why should you have them?
Yeah. And what even are standards really? Like, it's non-negotiables rooted in your values. So high standards, a standard is not like he needs to have dark hair. Yeah. That shouldn't be a standard. You know, examples of of what your standards really should be are, you know, shared faith, emotional maturity, or financial responsibility, like what matters to you in those areas. Respect, obviously. Mm-hmm. You should respect women. And the desire for marriage or family alignment. Because a lot of people, you know, I don't really care to have kids and the other person really wants to have kids, then you need to be on the same page. As far as things go as that, or like, I don't want to get married, or I do see myself being married in 5 years, you know, things like that. So,
yeah. And I think that to have the high standards, you also need to believe that you are worthy of having high standards and you believing that you are a good catch. And there's a lot of mental stuff we can unpack here. Essentially, you are worthy of love. You are worthy of being treated well. And so sometimes people think like, I can't have a guy that good. Like, why? Like, why would you as your biggest cheerleader think that? And so what you just said, for sure, just having high standards and then believing that you are worthy of that.
Because definitely, and especially also, this is something you got to watch at the beginning. A lot of times everything's great because it's new or whatever. And then the guy, you start seeing, you know, his real self or whatever. And then you feel like, you still need to remember your catch there. Just because you've been dating a couple months or whatever doesn't mean you need to lower your standards then. Like, you are a catch, exactly what Katie said. Always remembering that and being proud of it, talking to your sisters or your close friends, making sure that they also support you in that and say, you know, hey, he's slacking, you know. And I'm not just saying leave it. Obviously, we've talked about this before. Don't leave at the first sign of unhappiness. Right. But remember that you are a catch. And so you don't need to settle.
Preach. And something that I get pushed back on a lot of times is, oh, Katie, like, what if I have high standards and that narrows my dating pool? Yes. It will, and you're welcome, because the guy who's sending you drunk texts like, are you up, and asking what you're wearing or who knows what, like, he is no longer an option for you because you have high standards. So you are welcome. You know, you don't need thousands of options. You need one good one. And think about the way generations of people have dated for the history of time. They did not have thousands of dating apps. They did not have so many options, yet our marriage is doing better with thousands of options, not statistically, right? So you don't need thousands of options. You need one good one.
Yeah.
So don't let that, you know, stress you out. Now, you know, of course, there's so many sides to this conversation. You need to get out there and meet that one good option. He's not going to come knocking on your door like Rapunzel, but don't say like, oh, I just need thousands and thousands of options. No, that's just confusing.
Yeah. You got one good guy. Boom.
Boom. That's all you need.
Yeah. And I mean, I just feel like, obviously we're saying, you know, don't settle, you are a catch, but there's also this side of the conversation that is unrealistic expectations. So wanting someone who checks all 37 of your boxes. I remember making those boxes before I went to Camp Ozark, before I met Cameron. I made a list and I had my husband must, and some boxes there. And that was, you know, be a Christian, a Christian who's sure in his faith, because I have dated people who were not sure in their faith or considered themselves not a Christian or hypocritical Christian. All three of those options I had dated before. And you always feel like you can help them and pull them up to where you are.
Dating. Bless. Don't do that.
They will pull you down. And so that was my first box, was strong Christian. I also remember on there.
Compromise that box though.
Right, exactly. This is the must. I had the must boxes and then the like, it would be nice boxes.
That's fair.
Also in the must boxes were wants to have kids because, growing up with 4 younger sisters, I loved being part of a big family. And I also had in there must, love my sisters because it's such a big part of me and everything. And there, I should have broke out my old diary and looked at my must boxes, but there weren't that many. I remember there was not more than 5. And then on the, it would be nice, I had some more boxes just for fun, but these are not the standards, guys. It was just like, oh, it would be nice. And it was things like taller than me or, musically inclined. But again, my husband it didn't have to be taller than me, if that makes sense. So unrealistic expectations, if you're looking for someone who specifically checks all 39 of your boxes or has expecting no flaws or no mistakes. Again, we've talked about this before. There's going to be unhappiness. That's part of life. Or another big unrealistic expectation, wanting someone to complete you.
Girl, you just got me on a soapbox. So a relationship should complement with an E, not like, hey, you're pretty, that's cute too, but complement with an E, not complete you. Probably too young to remember this, but Jerry Maguire was a movie where Tom Cruise looks at Renee Zellweger and says, you complete me. And if you Google it still, I looked at this recently, it's one of the most romantic movie lines. Like if you type in like most romantic movie lines, like that's one of the top 10 still. And oh, you complete me. So cute, so romantic, so unrealistic and unfair.
Yeah.
Because you were asking another flawed and broken, precious and hopefully cute and hopefully a great match for you, but flawed and broken human to complete you. That is such a heavy burden to put on someone. Just like I said, untrue and unfair. And no man, no woman should have to. Jesus is the only one that can complete you. And he is the only one who will. And that is it's just too heavy to put on someone. And so no one wants that. And when you put that on someone, you're asking too much and you're putting yourself up for disappointment.
And that's why you got to know yourself before you're ready to dive into a serious relationship. Is you got to know what you want and who you are.
Yes. So the whole, we talked about having high standards and then the whole being realistic is some of the things we just talked about. But one of the things I often said, and I probably already said before, but is have your list, if you will, with an open hand. So yes, you should never compromise on a shared faith. And like you said, like a for real, not just I'm a Christian because I went to church once when I was a kid, but a for real faith. And then, hold those other looser items, if you will, with an open hand. I heard a story of a guy and he's like, it's really important for my wife to be debt free. Like that's something that's really important to me. I'm debt free. I want her to be debt free. And his wife was not debt free, but they shared their story of coming out of tens of thousands of dollars of debt together. And now that's part of their testimony and they help other couples. So you don't know what God wants to do, and being debt free is great. But I mean, you never know what God wants to do. And then I'll say, I know I've said this before, but I will say this every day on every episode, if I can say it, become who you're looking for is looking for. So if we want him to be strong in his faith, are you strong in your faith? If you want them to be debt free, are you at least working on getting out of your debt? So we can't that's the whole, I want them to complete me business. If you think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say everyone is in your 20s, at least. Everyone is still becoming. No one's fully formed necessarily yet, So you can't expect someone to be perfect and all the way husband exactly material when you're in your 20s looking for someone, because everyone's still becoming, including you. You're still figuring. But obviously knowing your core things, your must things.
Yeah.
And also finding someone who aligns with those must things. And then, having grace and growing up together, that's also a big part of it. Because there's big difference, obviously, between expecting maturity, respectfulness and everything, and expecting perfection, like constant excitement, or, he's just going to bring you flowers every day and every week is going to be glorious. And if there's one week, then bye, you can't expect just constant excitement, because life is also in the boring moments too. So
yes, I did it was a dating app. You might have heard of it. Hold on. What was it called? It doesn't matter. I did like a group chat, and it was all these singles, and it's on a dating app. So it's worldwide. Actually, most of them were in Europe. But anyways, this girl came up and she was like, my boyfriend, this was like our third date, and he knew that, I don't remember, we'll say tulips were my favorite flower. and he brought me carnations. I cannot believe he brought me the wrong type of flower. And I'm like, girl, he brought you flowers. Like, are you kidding me right now? So that's kind of what you're talking about. Like, we have this can go too far of this toxic standards. And, he needs to kiss the ground I walk on. And, he must be available every minute of every day to get all of my wishes and hopes and dreams come true. Like, what? That's just so, we're all our own humans. We're all becoming. Give a little grace to yourself and a partner. And it's okay if he doesn't bring you the right type of flowers.
Right. But also, yes, also check in with him, like communicate about this stuff. If you're upset about the flowers, like don't make it a big deal and like ghost and just like act annoyed toward him, bring it up and just say, hey, well, for something like the flowers, it is just, be thankful in the moment.
Yeah.
Don't just automatically switch up. But also, if it seems like your man is not necessarily like it was kissing the ground you walked on for the first couple months, and then maybe check in like a couple months in, if he's not doing that anymore, like maybe he's going through something. And like a lot of times men need some help talking about things, I think. And so it's like checking in on him. Maybe he's going through his own, like maybe like, I'm not saying just leave just because he's depressed or something. I'm just saying like check in with him and talk about it, because that's how you're going to figure out if you are meant to be with this person, is like going through stuff like the depressive episodes and things like that. So yeah, I would just definitely, talk about it. And if you guys can't communicate well, then boom, there's a sign. But
no, women, we have a tendency to think that, oh, well, they should just know. They should just read our minds. And that's, again, unfair and untrue. So communication, like we said before, is so important. And so, if tulips are your thing and that is so important to you and it is a hill you will die on, talk about it and communicate. But you can't expect to. I've heard that before. Like, oh, well, he should just know. Like, what? He's not a mind reader. He's a human. So women, especially, we need to clearly communicate what matters to us.
Yeah. I definitely think it's good to just break down and, obviously take time for yourself and figure out who you are, but ask yourself questions like, are your standards rooted in wisdom or fear? Or are you protecting your peace? Or are you protecting your ego from different things? Like, I'm not going to date this guy, even though he's great and checks all my boxes, but he's shorter than me, Like, check yourself and your own ego. Obviously, if it's protecting your peace, keep those standards. If it's just an ego thing.
Well, and some girls will find, oh my gosh, he's everything, but I don't deserve that, or I'm scared of everything. That's another, there's so many sides to this. And so the self-fulfilling prophecy of I don't deserve a good guy and stuff like that. I think it all just starts, like we said, of just this, knowing what matters to you and knowing that you are created with purpose, with worth, worthy of love in God's own image, and then having that beginning and then having a partner. And again, not someone who complete you, not someone to make all your hopes and dreams come true, but a life partner. One of my favorite diagrams, if you will, is a triangle, and it's man and woman at the bottom of the triangle and God at the top. If you're both on that pursuit toward God, then you kind of meet toward the top of the triangle when it gets narrower. I just think that's a great little analogy of making it all work.
Right. Ask for what you are trying to become. If you're trying to become a better Christian, then you're looking for someone who is, you can't just say, I'm just going to become a better Christian whenever I find a man who's going to lead me. Like, you got to work on that first yourself. Or if you are, I want to find a man who's financially secure, because I'm definitely not, like, work on that for yourself while you're looking for someone who's in the same. So just think, like, are you asking for what you're becoming?
Right. Because then, okay, I'm going to find a man who's financially secure because I'm not. That is just asking for fights, because then you're going to, if you do get married and he's going to, oh, hey, we need to work on this budget. We need to be more financially mindful here. And you're like, whatever, I just spent all of our money at Ulta. I don't know, like that's asking for conflict. So you got to work on yourself first, for sure. Because they say like communication and finances are some of the hugest reasons for divorce. So don't set yourself up for failure, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. High standards are about protecting your future, and unrealistic expectations are maybe a little controlling or fearful and things like that.
Yeah. So I just want to talk about this. This is something that I tackled way back in a previous episode. It was really well listened to, high downloaded, high shared. And I was like, it's been a minute, and I know that you would have some good things to add to this. So I just want to kind of just unpack this again. But I think that we just want to talk about how both sides of this are so important. Both sides need to be talked about. So that was the goal on today's episode.
Yeah. And again, I have friends who've been like, I just keep getting ghosted. Like, maybe my standards are too high. And if that's the case, again, I would just ask that question, like, are your standards there because they're protecting your peace. If they are, keep those standards.
Yes.
Just because you're getting ghosted doesn't mean you need to lower those. But if it's like every single person and it gets to a certain point, then maybe it is an ego thing. It just really depends on the situation. So just take everything that we say, it doesn't apply to every situation.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
If you're unsure, ask a trusted friend. Like, what do you see on the other side of me? That's a hard but powerful question to ask someone who loves you and has your best interest at heart. Just ask them that question and be prepared to listen.
And remember, your standards are rooted in your values, not your aesthetics of what he looks like.
Say it louder. Put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Just got to lead, anything that leads to peace versus leading to anxiety, just comparing those.
Yeah. All right, Shayna, I think we just unpacked all the good stuff.
But we'd love to hear from you guys again.
We do. Yes. So Spotify, iTunes, that's a great place to listen. You can also leave reviews there. We love that. And slide into our DMs.
Yes, please. We want to chat with you guys. And we do appreciate, Katie showed me the stats for this week, almost 4,000 streams this week alone in the last 7 days.
Yes.
That is so, so cool, guys. We are so thankful.
We are thankful. And it's because of you guys. So we appreciate you tuning in and being here and sharing it. Sharing is caring. So we love it when you share with a friend as well.
Exactly. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about next in March and April. We'd love to break down what you're actually curious and listening to. So go ahead and send us a DM or leave a comment or a review, and we will catch you next time.
Yay. Thanks, guys.
See ya.